Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Today's video is going to be about my experience with microblading. I had my eyebrows microbladed back in July. And there's a lot of questions around it. People think it's like, you know, a permanent kind of tattoo, or does it hurt? Why is it called microblading? So I thought I'd just go through my experience with it, and hopefully by the end of this video I'll have a better idea of what the whole process is about. So microblading is the procedure of adding pigment in the form of like really small brush-like strokes that look like hairs to your eyebrows to kind of make your eyebrows look fuller. It's meant basically for people who, you know, whether you don't have eyebrows for whatever reason, or you really over-tweezed your eyebrows when you were younger like I did, that can help to kind of bring your eyebrows back to life, where I was somebody who really over-tweezed my eyebrows when I was younger, like so bad. I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I walked around looking like that. I had like, people call them like the sperm brows, or I used to call them like Ronald McDonald brows, where they're like thick in the beginning and then they get like super thin on the end, and you're like always tweezing and tweezing to try to fix the shape. So by the end of it, I had basically like taken off the whole fronts of my eyebrows here. And then they were just so thin and uneven, and I tweezed them so much to the point where they just didn't grow back. So no matter how good I got at like filling them in with makeup, I could never quite get the shape I wanted, or without it looking really like drawn on and obvious. And the thing with that is that like the farther apart your brows are, the wider your nose looks. So it was really just throwing off the shape of my face, and I couldn't fix it. So when I heard about microblading, I was like, oh my god, this sounds like fantastic. So it's basically a semi-permanent procedure. So it's not like a permanent, like tattooed on eyebrow, which a lot of people think it is, and they're gonna look like they've got Sharpie brows or something like that. It's a semi-permanent procedure. It lasts between 1 and 3 years. After that, you'd probably have to go in and get a touch-up to kind of bring them back to what they originally looked like. And the price really varies depending on where you're going. So I remember when they first came out, I've heard about this procedure for probably like a year or so. I would say it's gotten like quite popular, but I'm not sure how long ago it existed before that. But in the last year or so, I'd heard about it and I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Like, I wonder how much it costs. And I looked into the cost, and everywhere I looked initially it was kind of like $600, and I was like, that's like a little bit pricey for that. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to drop $600 on that. So I was like, oh, hold on, maybe they'll have sales, maybe the price will go down in general, because I don't think there's a lot of people that are gonna have like, you know, 600 extra bucks to just go throw on their eyebrows. So anyways, I did hold off, and then a place called Lash Envy in Halifax, if you're familiar with Nova Scotia, had a 50% off sale for the months of, I think it was June and July, or May and June, or something like that. So I was like, oh my god, that's perfect. Like $300, I think, to me, for like, you know, the amount of time you're in there, and the fact that it's like something I'm gonna have for 1 to 3 years, is not too bad. So I ended up booking my appointment. I didn't get in until actually like mid-July, because they were so booked up. Everybody must have had the same idea that I had, and really took advantage of the 50% off sale. So I went in mid-July. So when you first go in, you do like an initial consultation with the person doing your brows. So they take a lot of time kind of mapping out your brows, the angles, the arches, where everything should go that would match up best with your facial features. So that takes like at least 20 minutes. She was in there, she had rulers and drawing on and all this stuff. So then she drew on kind of what my brows would look like, showed them to me in the mirror. Did I like them? I did like them. I might have picked something a little bit different, but I went in with it thinking that like, these guys are the experts, like they know what they're doing, I'm gonna trust them. And I'm the kind of person that if something goes really wrong and like, oh, I hated it or something like that, like I would be like, well, you know, lesson learned, I won't do that again. But it would never stop me from trying something, like the fear of something going wrong. So Anyways, I thought they looked fine. So then what they do is they put a numbing cream over your eyebrows. So it's something that they basically rub on. It's a numbing cream, and then they put saran wrap over top of them to kind of help it sink in better. And then they leave you for about 15-20 minutes. They use the numbing cream because the actual procedure involves like a really tiny blade, and they pick up the pigment with the blade and basically like etch it into your skin. So you're going down several layers of your skin. That's what keeps it as like being semi-permanent rather than just washing off. Or when you're using a tattoo gun, you're going all the way through. So that's why it never comes off. So the procedure actually is not the most comfortable thing in the world. The numbing cream definitely did help when she started going in. And initially it just felt like a bunch of scratches. Like I was just getting like, it was so weird. It didn't hurt, but I could feel like this scratching noise. But they're in there for a really long time. Like I would say, oh my gosh, it must have been like 45 minutes to an hour that she was actually like blading my eyebrows. So there are certain areas where I think the numbing cream didn't didn't sink in as well as other areas, so those were more painful. And obviously there were certain areas of my brows. Another area that was really kind of over tweezed was like the top of my arches here. So there was a lot of work that had to go into that area. So when she's going over it over and over and over again, like it did get like uncomfortable, but nothing that I was like jumping out of the chair or saying anything about. And she did keep asking me if I was okay, and I honestly, like, I'm one of those people who wants to like get into an appointment and get out. So I was like, oh, I'm fine, rather than having to put like more numbing cream on and stuff like that. So by the end of it, the appointment is probably an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and that's your initial appointment that you go for. At the end of the appointment, she gives you your like aftercare instructions, which is super important when it comes to microblading and the results that you're going to get. So she told me for the first 7 days not to wear any makeup or anything, put any kind of harsh product, like any kind of face washes or toners or anything like that really harsh on my face, or even makeup, to keep makeup away from that area. I can't say I really followed that one because I had to work like 2 or 3 days later, so I had makeup on, but I tried to like avoid as best I could like my brow area. And then the weirdest part is that you have to keep coconut oil on your brows like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So like she recommends that like every 2 hours you take out little coconut oil. They gave you a little container of it, and you keep your brows so that they're always moisturized and they're never dry or tight during the whole healing period. And the better that you adhere to the aftercare instructions, the better your results are going to be, because it really takes some time for the pigment to adhere to your skin. And if you're letting your brows get really dry and flaking, then the color doesn't adhere as it's supposed to. So another thing is that even though you are putting the coconut oil on your brows for the whole week, they do go through these like kind of strange stages. So the first couple days, you know, they just were, you know, a little bit red, and I had the coconut oil on. And then after that, you can actually see them getting really dry underneath, and they start like flaking off and like scaling. Like it's really gross looking actually. But they go through this like healing procedure where they like, you know, they dry and they flake off, and I was like, oh my god, they're flaking off. That means that like the color's going to be off. But you just have to trust that, like, just let them do what they're going to do. Don't pick at the flakes or anything like that, because that's when you can run into trouble with taking too much off, and then like you're losing the pigment that was underneath that. So be really good about the coconut oil. Be really good about leaving them be and not picking at them or anything like that. And just really take care of them. It's only a week, and it'll really drastically like affect your results. So after that, you basically can kind of go about your business as usual. I was washing my face and all that kind of stuff. Another really important thing to do is to keep them moisturized, or not moisturized, have sunscreen on top of them, because the sun can fade the pigment. So whenever I was going out for any kind of like long periods of time in the sun, I would put like a heavy coat, or like as heavy as I could put without it making it look really obvious that I had sunscreen on my brows. Or I'd wear a hat and try to shield my eyebrows from the sun during their healing period. I think you're supposed to do that for about 2 to 3 weeks when they're kind of in their little like, you know, healing stage. And that's another thing actually during the whole kind of healing period, which is basically about a month of the healing initially. Avoid going in like jacuzzis or saunas or really hot areas, anything like that. Avoid, you know, long periods in the sun if you can, and if you are out in the sun, make sure you sunscreen them, and then always keep them moisturized with the coconut oil. So then after 4 weeks, you actually go back in for a second appointment. So this is your follow-up touch-up appointment, they call it. It was included in the initial cost, so the whole thing was just $300 flat. So I went back in, she takes a look at how they're healing, what spots that need to be touched up, because you almost always need a touch-up appointment because there are certain areas that, you know, for whatever reasons may not adhere as good as others. So she took a look and we basically did the whole process again, except for that it was a way shorter appointment that time. It only took the whole thing was probably 45 minutes or so, but once again, she went in, and I don't know what it was about this time, but I felt like the numbing cream didn't work as well. So like it was so sore for a little while, and I eventually said something, and then she put some more numbing cream on, and it did help a little bit, but for me, it was definitely not a painless procedure, even though they used this numbing cream. Like, it was still uncomfortable and something that I would definitely not look forward to doing, but not something that would prevent me from doing it. So then when I was done my touch-up appointment, the aftercare was a little bit different in that I didn't have to use the coconut oil at all this time, which was nice because you look really weird walking around with coconut oil on your brows all shiny and kind of wet looking all the time. I was did not love that look. But I took care of them in all the other ways, basically the same except for the coconut oil. And you really don't see the end results of your brows until about 4 weeks or so after that, once everything again has kind of healed itself and you get your final look. And it's really funny to watch it through the process, because I remember when I first left my initial appointment, I was like, holy shit, man, these look crazy. And she did warn me of this, they look really dark and they look kind of thicker than they will. So I walked out and I was like, oh my God, I hope she's telling the truth, because if not, I'm gonna have some bushy dark brows going on. But you know, in a couple days they started lightening, they started thinning out, I started seeing a better shape. And then after my second appointment, I really saw what they were going to look like. And so I would say about 4 weeks after the touch-up appointment, I saw the final results. I was really happy with them. They looked really awesome. And she also went in after my touch-up appointment and did a lot of brow shaping, because I'm not really good at upkeeping my brows. I hate it. I hate tweezing my brows. I hate going in to get them waxed, because I feel it's so much money for so little not work, but I just hate spending money on that. So I try to do it at home, but I hate doing it at home, so I'm not the greatest on my brow upkeep. So she really went in there and trimmed them and tweezed them and all kinds of stuff, and they looked phenomenal by the end of it. So I'm totally going to insert photos of what my brows looked before, what they looked after the first time I had them done, some more healing, and then the final result. And I'm really happy with them. I think they look great. It blows my mind when I look at photos now, and I'm wow, my brows look great. Whereas I didn't really notice as much before, but when I was taking photos before, I would always look and be oh, my brows look awful there. It's making my nose look really wide. And I would literally delete pictures based on how my eyebrows and my nose looked in photos. So now that my brows are closer together, they've got a nice arch, they just do wonders for your face. It's amazing how important eyebrows are. So for me, it was totally worth it. I will go in and have them touched up whenever the time may be. I don't know if it's going to be a year or 2 or 3 years, but it's something I'm definitely going to keep up. And I've been kind of following up to see like what the general price range is now for microblading. And it seems like they have dropped the prices down from $600 in a lot of areas. So Lash Envy, the place that I went when I had them done 50% off for $300, now has lowered the price to, I saw $475 the other day, which is still pricey, but not nearly as bad as $600. Now, I do still use product in my brows. I don't leave them natural, which sometimes if I want, I think I could go in for another touch-up appointment and be like, here, I really don't want to put anything on my brows and just get in there and like make them darker and da-da-da-da-da. But I do end up putting product in my brows every day. The thing is, when I put my foundation on, because the microbladed area isn't actual hairs, it catches foundation so that it makes that areas that are microbladed lighter, which is not like a great thing, but there's nothing that can be done about that really. So I still go in with my, I always use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow gel in, I think it's dark brown. That's what I go in, and I always kind of do like a light, just kind of outline of my brows and just kind of fill in the fronts a little bit more. But it's so much less work than it used to be before. Before I'd be like, all right, let's get in there. You can do this today. You can get those nice brows. Whereas today it's a really quick process, and I totally don't mind still having to do a little bit with my brows. So I hope that helped clear up a little bit of the mystery around microblading. Apparently they're now calling it 3D eyebrow embroidery, which is probably a better name, because like the name microblading just sounds awful. It sounds painful. It sounds like something like I would not want to do. So anyways, if you see that name floating around now, that's the same thing as microblading. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!